Communication, you guys, this is the lifeblood of a relationship. Can you say what you mean and understand what you hear? If you don't get communication right, fewer of the things are going to fall in line, right? Because it's really the barometer for how we feel about each other.
That's exactly right. You know, it's what makes you feel close to the person you love the most.
So when we talk about communication at this level, we like to begin with the fundamentals, the basics of communication. Whenever I think about the fundamentals, I always think about that famous coach, Vince Lombardi. You remember what he used to do at halftime when the team wasn't doing so well? He'd come into the room and he'd hold up a football. Anybody remember what he'd say? Men, this is a football. Well, no duh, right? They've given their life to the game. They know it's a football. But it was his way of saying, let's get back to the basics. Let's not neglect anything. Let's make sure we got the fundamentals down. And so, in a very real sense, we want to say to you as couples, this is communication. And you're going to want to say, no duh. In fact, just get it out of your system on the count of three, and we'll say it together. 1, 2, 3. No duh. Yeah, but these fundamentals are so important. By the way, Vince Lombardi Jr., the son of this famous comedian, he lives in Seattle, and had lunch with him some time ago. I said, did your dad really do that? Or is that more of an apocryphal thing? He said, no, Dad absolutely did that. He said, I remember as a kid coming into the locker room, Dad holding up the football. Man, this is a football. He said, one of the linebackers in the back row said, slow down, coach, slow down. We're going to slow way down. We're going to slow way down and focus on the fundamentals of communication.
I would say communication.
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 Communicating with your other half.
Learning to speak each other's languages.
Try to figure out what they want and what they need and try to give it to them.
It's like, why hold in any type of bitterness when you can just put it all on the table and just talk about it instead of being like, oh, I wonder what she thinks.
Taking the thoughts from my brain and putting them into words.
Talk it through, hug it out.
Talk about it. It doesn't mean that it's been easy.
There's a lot of crying, though.
Sometimes it's not always that easy.
A lot of crying. On both parts.
I'm just a big baby.
Now, not just the fundamentals are important to understanding how to say what you mean and understand what you hear. It's also a little bit of understanding the key differences between men and women in communication.
Yeah, because, I mean, we sometimes step into a conversation assuming that we're absolutely on the same page, and it doesn't turn out to be the case. We're often working for very different goals in what we even want out of a great conversation.
Yeah, our goals can be completely different for a conversation. Let me ask the women in this room, women, what's the #1 goal that men have in conversation? I just want the women to answer. Get it over with?
Get it done.
Solve the problem, okay? Anything else? Get straight to the point, all right? You get the idea? Yeah. It's what researchers call report talk. Yeah. Report talk. In other words, men like the report. We like the information. We want to be in the know. It's just that we don't necessarily need all the fluff and all the bunny trails. Have you ever heard your man say, get to the point, right? What's the bottom line? Women, you ever heard that? It's because the man, he likes the report. I'll literally come home sometime at the end of the evening and come in the front door and turn to Leslie and literally say, give me the report. Bring me up to speed. Did you pick up that stuff? What's for dinner? How are the boys, right? I want the report. Give me the information I need to function in this home tonight. I want the report. Not so for women.
No, in fact, men, what would you say that we as women have as our #1 goal for a great conversation? Details, all the fluff, all the bunny trails, yeah. Feelings, you're getting there. Because for women, for us, what sociologists have discovered is it's not about the report, because that's about the information, right? For us, it's all about rapport. It's a relationship goal. So every conversation is just a window of opportunity to connect and bond with the person we're talking to. We want to build rapport. We want to have a bond. And so we literally use, have you ever noticed how when women talk, sometimes they even lean in and hold hands with each other? It's like we are literally building a physical bond. We want that, our eye contact and everything. And we're revealing things, right? Give us 30 seconds. We're not telling you what we did yesterday. We're revealing our deepest fears, our dark, whatever it is. Because the goal is, at the end of whatever time we have, we want to be as bonded as possible. And so it's a really different goal. It's an emotional goal. It's not information exchange. That might happen, but it's not the real point. The real point is I walk away and I feel totally connected to you. It's a rapport. In fact, I was tucking in one of our guys, our little boys, one night. I'll never forget this. And it was so, it just hit me. Sometimes children's books reveal these profound truths. And as we were reading together, it was like, it just came off the pages and went right into my soul. And I got so excited about this little book after, we done our little goodnight routine that I grabbed this children's book. I ran into his study. He was like working out because the kids are in bed. And I said, I got to give you this amazing insight I just got about women and communication. He's like, really, what is it?
Well, I was pretty excited because you were like, she was animated.
Charged
She was
up.
like, this is going to change everything for us. You're going to understand women at a whole new level.
Right. And I said, well, it's in this Winnie the Pooh book we were just reading. And he goes, oh, okay. And I said, no, I'm totally serious. Piglet and Pooh are talking. And he goes, okay. And I said, no, listen to this. Piglet says Pooh. And he says, what, Piglet? And he says, oh, nothing. I just wanted to be sure of you.
Oh, come on.
See?
I guarantee no guy in here just went, oh, right? I didn't get it, and it just like went over my head. I don't know what I said, but it was just like, and you were so crestfallen.
I was crushed because for me, it said it all. Like, I just want to be sure of you. That's it. That's bonding. That's rapport.
Yeah, and I do remember this because the next week we're at our own church, and I saw my buddy Merle, who's a detective in Seattle. Hadn't seen him for a long time. I was eager to catch up with him, so we're in the church foyer at the end of the service, and Merle, brother, how's it going? Oh, Les, he said, I've been so busy. Well, what have you been up to? He got out his daytimer, and he starts going through stuff. Well, I got this Crime Stoppers thing I'm involved in, and we're going to hopefully meet with the mayor this next week. I'm going to give this talk over at the school on security and safety, and going through all this other stuff. He says, what's up with you? I said, oh, Merle, I'm so busy. And I got out my calendar and I started going through. I got this lecture to give. I got a writing deadline. I got a seminar coming up and this trip we're going to take. And we both closed the books, as it were, slapped each other on the back and walked away. Well, Leslie happened to observe this little exchange that Merle and I had. And she and I fell in step. We're walking to our car in the parking lot. And as we're walking, I said, man, it was good to see Merle. She said, well, technically, I'm not sure you actually saw Merle. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? Go up to him and say, Merle? And he'd say, yes, Les. And I'd say, oh, nothing. Just wanted to be sure of you, right?
I think it would be awesome.
Merle would slap me across the chops if I said that to him, right? Men and women, we've different goals for communication. That's right. And that's why this is so important to get a hold of some skills that can make a big difference.
Facts are what matter to me when it comes to conflict.
I like the data. Like, I want all of the information. I can't figure anything out, fix it, or analyze it if I don't know all the details.
Emotions don't even come up in my head. They're like not even second. They're like, 20th on the list of important things to get through in a conversation.
I need people to be like, oh, really? What? Like that happened? This happened?
I'm a lot different in the way that emotions so control the way I communicate.
Like sometimes he'll just be like, as if he's like collecting data, like, yep, okay, yeah, that makes sense. As if I'm being interviewed or something.
Well, it's a little.
Give you two skills, and the first of these is clarifying content.
Right.
Clarifying content. This is so important because so many times we jump to conclusions. We read between the lines. We make assumptions that just aren't true.
It happens all the time when you're moving at the speed of life. I mean, I remember recently we were headed out somewhere at the last minute. I hadn't really planned anything to wear. Women ever been in that moment, and so I had to throw something on, didn't know if it worked and was kind of insecure. So I went and stood in front of your desk to kind of get some feedback.
You said, how's this look? And
Yeah.
I looked up because I was busy working on some stuff that we needed to take with us. And I looked up and I said, fine with me.
So what do you think I did? Yeah, because I'm like, I'm not going for that. And so I ran upstairs and, I'm frantic now because I know we're really late. And he starts hollering for me. And
now we're late. I said, where are you? You were just here. What happened?
So I come down and he's like, where have you been and why in the world didn't you change clothes? And I said, because you didn't like what I had on. And he said, I told you it was fine with me. And And
it was. I was totally good with it. It was like, fine.
Well,
fine is good, right?
honestly, what I heard is, fine with me. It's your reputation. You want to go out in public, we're in that, be my guest. And truly, I mean, that's the message I got.
Yeah, well, and it's not the message I intended to
No.
to send, but it was the one that was
Right.
received. And it goes both ways. We all need to clarify content.
Sometimes I have no idea what she's saying or thinking.
Sometimes I have no idea what Kyle is saying.
Sometimes I have no idea what she is thinking.
A lot of times, I have no idea what she's saying.
Because I haven't created a machine that can read her mind.
Because he doesn't say it.
Because all she says is, it's fine.
He keeps it inside a lot.
I can't read her mind.
It's fine.
She would start the conversation in her head, and maybe halfway through the conversation in her head, she would say something. It's like, so what did you tell him?
You know what, it's fine.
And I'm
And
like,
he's like, what are you talking about?
It's not fine. Is it? Is it fine? We'll never know.
In fact, to underscore it, I'm going to put something up on the screen. I want you to decipher. I'll put it up there just for a moment. Take a look at this phrase and decipher what it means. There's no right or wrong answer here. And we'll read it out loud together, all right? 1, 2, 3. Love is now here. And how many said love is now here? And how many said love is nowhere? All right?
They're kind of shy.
There's the optimists and pessimists among us right there, right? And I guarantee you, because it always happens, there's always a freak or two in the room that say, love, I snow here. So, you know who you are, all right? You know, communication is one of these skills that you've just got to get personal with. You've got to really roll up your sleeves, and that's what the workbook will help you do. When you, as each of you, in the His or Her workbook kind of companion set, you'll go through some exercises that will enlighten you on how you both like to be listened to and how you both like to talk.